Welcome to You, But Better. Interviews.
We interview the most brilliant thinkers and highest achieving badasses on the face of the planet.
I have a dream that one day
There is an indefinable, mysterious power.
77 years ago.
Friends, Romans, countrymen.
You are the light of the world.
It's not just an interview.
It's the interview. You, but better.
Welcome, Better Yous, to another spectacular interviews. We are so excited today. We have Freddy, the Flow, Marrero on You, but Better. Seph, how do you feel right now?
Guys, I have never been so pumped in my life to bring on a guest. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm over-prepared, some people would say. But I felt, even though that I felt that I was pretty prepared, I felt like I needed to be that much more on my game because we have the game master here with us today.
Folks, Better Yous, let me tell you, for maybe the 8 of you alive on this planet who don't know who Freddy the Flow Marrero is, I will give you,
welcome to Earth.
Some details. Welcome to Earth. So Freddy Marrero is one of the most gifted and accomplished professional athletes of all time. Freddy is the only human being to have thrived in both the NFL and the NBA, where he has broken records for 10 years straight. And as our listeners are no doubt aware, Freddy was not only a starter on the recent Super Bowl winning Chiefs team, but he also performed as a backup dancer in Rihanna's halftime show. Oh, yeah.
Stellar.
Now, Freddy was a late bloomer in life. He didn't start his athletic pursuits until well into his 20s when he discovered that he had extraordinary physical abilities that he could unlock with his own mind. And finally, this is something we're going to get into. Freddy recently published his first book, Mindletics, the athlete inside your brain. Freddy, welcome to You, But Better.
Thank you for having me. I'm in awe of your presence right now and humbled by the invitation.
Wow.
The awe is mutual.
Wow. Thank you.
Freddy, it's so good to have Game Master Marrero in our sights.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I want to congratulate you on your Super Bowl win.
Oh,
You
win.
did win. You were on the winning team.
Yeah, a win.
So,
it's a championship, Freddy. It's a championship.
I forget about the points element of the games that I play. But yeah, I'm sorry. Continue. I didn't mean to interrupt your introduction.
No, Lex, see, I told you this guy was special. He doesn't even care about the
You're on
outcome.
such a high plane. You forget about the point system because that's not factoring into your consciousness.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to me, nor should it really apply to anyone. They say that I out-juked the defender on my way to the end zone. What people don't understand is I'm out-juking myself. Wow. So the fact that a defender is there is irrelevant. I don't really see the figures of the other players in front of me. There's just me and the goal in front of me.
Do you think that really, when we get down to it in reality, there are really no enemies or opponents, only yourself?
Of course. That's such an obvious answer. You are your own opponent, and yet you should never be in conflict with yourself or anyone for that matter. So that's why my introduction to sports, I hear that sports are something that youths typically begin at a young age, and then they blossom into athletes with their physical gifts. They say it takes mind, body, and spirit to be a holistic person, but what if mind is body? What if mind is strong? When you have those elements, everything else falls into place. That's why I never picked up a ball of any kind until I was 25.
Wow. What if mind is strong? I've never heard it put so delicately. I have to say, the whole concept that Lex and I built here with You But Better is that you are constantly in competition with the last version of yourself. You wake up a new you, a better you if you put in the work. And Freddie, it's clear to me, it's clear to the world that as one of the very best to do what you do,
Yes.
and you do a lot of things.
Yes. They tell me. It doesn't feel like a lot, but that's what they tell me. And that's what I have people kind of informing me, you have won this trophy. You have accomplished this goal. Your team won this championship. Once again, I'm like, winning? What and why is that?
You're a true process over product person, right? Can I say that? You're true process over product. You are all about doing the process. You don't worry about the product.
If you want to reduce it to such simplistic terms, I'm happy to embrace your definition.
Well, let's talk about that because you are the first human being in history to not only play in a Super Bowl, but to also dance as a background dancer in the halftime show.
I am?
Yeah, you were. You really were, Freddie.
How does that
You're
feel
the
to
first.
support Rihanna in that halftime show?
I'm shocked that no athlete in history has ever taken it upon them. I'm kind of reeling from this realization.
Does that make you sad that no one else has participated as both an athlete and a halftime dancer?
It makes me sad how, yeah, there are so many athletes in this world, and apparently a number of Super Bowls have been played over the years, and yet for none of them to have performed in the halftime show. These are able-bodied individuals.
Some of the strongest, most athletic humans.
Allegedly. For them not to maximize their potential. This is the part of sports that kind of now bores me, is that I've done everything that they tell me I can do within these leagues. I do find it a little sad. I want to help other athletes unlock the potential of being able to not just perform at the top of their game athletically, but then to also lend a hand in other areas related to the game.
It was definitely bombastic. There were, you were twirling, you were doing flips, you were tossing that baton, you were twerking.
And the dancers executed my choreography to perfection.
Yeah.
I could not have been happier with how it all turned out. So after I choreographed the show, Riri said, do you want to go on tour? And so now we're in talks to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, you came off those platforms with fire in your eyes.
Yes. And honestly, I do feel like the reason we won the game is because I had danced in that show.
You think that energy from the dancing contributed to the energy on the field?
That's one element, but nothing happens in the world unless everything that happened before it also happened.
Wow, that's true.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's so true. Things in the past have to happen for things in the present to happen.
For things in the future to happen, things have to be happening in the present as well.
There has to have been things before for there to be things after. That's something that always hits me.
And forgive me that I forget I'm speaking to such enlightened individuals. I am humbled to be here, and sometimes I interact with an ilk of person, not even my athletes, just day-to-day lives. I wish I could give these people my brain. I wish I could reach into their brain and mush around the 90% of it that they're not using to engage it so that they could exist on the same plane of existence that we stand on. So I do sincerely apologize for asking if what I said made sense, because that is so redundant. Everything I say to you, it makes sense, and you know how to make sense of it.
No, that's completely fair. We're different people. Communication is so paramount. And I say about enlightenment, I never claim to be enlightened. I'm not a shaman. I'm not a sorcerer. I just know a lot of shamans and sorcerers.
That surprises me.
How many persons does it take to keep the flow going?
I'll have to do a formal head count next time I'm at the compound.
The compound, is that where you live?
I live at the
You
compound.
do live at the compound.
Yes. It's called the flow.
Okay.
Room. It is where like-minded individuals, people looking to better themselves, whether in the field of academics, spirituality, or athletics, which is apparently something I'm quite successful at.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone congregates, and some of them aid in the building of what they say is my brand. Money, I guess I have it and a lot of it,
Mm.
but I really only generate it so that I can give it to the residents of my compound because they tell me they need it to purchase goods. Like they have not reached the level of transcendence where their mind can feed them. They still need things like food. They need things like water. So I generate these Fred talks, my contracts, my sponsorships, just so they have the ability to put what they perceive as necessary food on their tables. But I believe before too long, you will see other athletes achieve a new plane of consciousness in their play and their existence that we haven't seen before.
I bet if you, for all of your teammates who've read your book, Mindletics, I bet those are some of the most open-minded teammates.
I would unfortunately have to agree with you. I hate to put people in such boxes, but we'll go ahead and say in a conventional sense, you are absolutely correct.
I mean, in your book, in Mindletics, your chapter, How to Be Open-Minded, was one of the best book chapters I've read in a very long time, in years.
I'm humbled for that critique. What were some of your takeaways from Mindletics? It sounds like you've read it front to back.
I read it front to back, and then I actually read it back to front.
Yeah.
That's how I recommend doing it. And I don't put that in the description of the book because if you read the book in actuality, you should know that's how you need to do it.
One of my favorite quotes from the book is when you said, to be open-minded, open a window and don't go through the window. Ask the world to go through you. And I thought about that for an entire day.
What's funny is I didn't even write that sentence.
You didn't write that sentence.
I stared at my computer and the sentence appeared in front of me.
The sentence
and
wrote
said,
itself.
Publish me. It said, publish me. The world needs to read me. And I said, you're right, sentence. And apparently my editor agreed.
Freddy, can I ask about another sentence in your book? It's
Please.
haunted me.
Okay. It's meant to do that, by the way.
Well,
you should walk away from reading that book with a mild sense of being haunted.
Okay, well, I did walk away with that sense, especially when I opened the refrigerator. The light was on.
Yes.
I closed the refrigerator. I was the refrigerator light.
Right.
What did that mean?
Right. Well, I'll be happy to tell you. I'm just curious, what did you think it meant upon reading? I always love to know.
I thought that you were admitting that you had died. Okay?
Oh, funny.
You open a refrigerator, the light comes on. You close it, the light goes off. But you didn't say the light goes off. You said, I am the refrigerator light.
To some degree, you're not wrong because the veil between life and death is so thin and only gets thinner the more you practice and achieve aggressive mindfulness. What I really meant, subtextually, yes, to some degree, I did die because I'm always dead. I'm always dead and I'm always alive at the same time. That's just a byproduct of being enlightened. But what I really meant was that all of us are light. And from a spiritual sense, light is often used symbolically to illustrate enlightenment, to illustrate mindfulness.
Of course.
So when I close the refrigerator door and the light is no longer inside the refrigerator, the light is upon me, I now have to take it upon myself to be the refrigerator of my peers. I need to be the entity that they get their nourishment from. And so, yeah.
Freddy, can I just say that I thought your book had more refrigeration-based wisdom than any book I've ever read.
It really did.
That's very flattering.
I I loved one of the quotes that I loved is the weight of my regret is heavier than a refrigerator. I loved that.
Well, and refrigerators are notoriously heavy, so I do live with a refrigeration level size of regret.
Yeah, that's so clear. I mean, I was floored when I read an ice box without ice is just a cold, cold box.
That was wild. I loved that one too.
And who's to say what is cold and what is hot? Temperature, like competition, also relative, also irrelevant.
True.
I could stand in a frozen tundra and tell you that it is boiling like the Dickens. I could tell you I'm standing at the gates of Hades right now, while I'm actually, in fact, in places in Antarctica, even our finest explorers have never reached. So you just need to take the same approach to temperature mindfulness that you need to with the mindfulness of all of your endeavors.
Freddy, that is amazing. I'm a big admirer of you. I really am. And I know Lex is.
We both are. We're huge admirers.
I admire the both of you, and I continue to be in awe of the wisdom of our conversation.
Aw, I am in awe of you.
My infinite regress alarm is potentially going off. I just want to say that I think that together, if we could cool the world down enough, we could all live in a refrigerator. And I think that would be a better world.
I think it would be a much better world.
I believe when the refrigerator was invented, that was the initial intention behind it.
To improve the world?
To not just
Yes.
cool the food, but to cool the world. The food is a part of the world.
And to cool the hot hearts
Yeah.
of
The angry.
the despots of the era the refrigerator was invented. That's precisely right.
Now, I don't watch sports because I don't believe in it. That's nothing against sports or any players.
It's true.
I don't either. I play out of convenience.
So for me, one of the things I was so impressed with was the way that you, as a sports star, as a cross-disciplinary football player, a basketball player, a dancer, someone with all the best dance moves, I just want to say the frittata recipes in your book were so good. They were so, I mean, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Freddy, I just wanted to say, last year when you created that frittata pinata and you had it smashed over that duct tape boat regatta, I was so enthralled and inspired, and you fed a nation that day.
Yes, the flow frittata pinata on the duct tape regatta, that was an event that I will say we were very pleased with at the compound. That was one of the first events that we had hosted there, and certainly will not be the last.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is going to forget that.
So true, Lex. Thank you.
I want to make it difficult for them to forget.
Especially all those Guatemalans that ate that frittata. I mean, that fed an entire country.
That frittata pinata in Guatemala was a magic experience.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm disappointed that we could only feed the entire nation of Guatemala that day. For our next frittata pinata regatta, we're thinking of taking that more global.
Freddy, last year the whole offensive side of your team demanded a trade.
Right.
Because they said that you made them feel uncomfortable in the locker room. Do the people that work for you ever get frustrated with the fact that you never seem to know what's going on?
They know that my lack of perception in the physical world is a byproduct of my mindfulness, without which they would be unemployed. So they more or less just go with it.
That makes sense. That's kind of how ours are.
But if they don't want to go with it, I will not make them go anywhere. I want people to follow me because they love the message and they love the process. I wish I didn't have a name. I wish I didn't have a physical body. I wish I was simply a manifestation of ideas and enlightenment. Unfortunately, in this life, there's a mortal shackle that forces me to be this individual walking, levitating, scoring points, winning basketball games in a physical space. But until we can evolve beyond that, I'm just here being Freddy the Flow.
Yeah. In the physical world, we have to hit a piñata or eat a frittata.
According to my book, that's exactly right.
Yeah. I do have to ask this one thing. This is a question that you don't have to answer, but you made a demand during the game that you would not enter the stadium in the usual way, but that you would be inside a refrigerator, wheeled out onto the field, and then you would explode out of that refrigerator door.
Right. Yeah.
The door would be blown off and you would emerge from that refrigerator. A lot of people, including, the NFL commissioner and a lot of people on social media, have found the idea that you come out of an exploding refrigerator to be unorthodox. There have been criticisms.
They say it breaks with tradition.
Yeah, they say it breaks a perfectly good refrigerator.
Frigidaire was pissed.
Yeah. I was informed after the fact that did rub a number of people the wrong way, including NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
And when he approached me, I made empowering eye contact, and he heard instantly the voices of his ancestors and knew that he had to relent. He said...
Roger told you this?
He did. He did. He said, I yield, I relent. I cannot fathom the voices of my ancestors informing me that you are so far in the right, I should not exist. And I said, that's a little harsh on your ancestors' parts. I agree with them in principle, but don't be so hard on yourself, Roger.
Yeah.
Did you see that he said you were an asshole on Pat McAfee's show the other day?
Oh, that's funny. They must have recorded out of the compound because he's been living there for the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So he can say what he wishes to say. He strikes me as one of those people who's a little bit more tied to what I'm told this generation calls clout. So if it gives him pleasurable clout in a secular sense to say these things about me, I will allow it. And I'm humbled simply to be talked about in such a broad fashion.
Wow. Your take on life, the way you take on life, is so mysterious, so enthralling.
I never looked at it that way. Yeah.
Obviously. And frankly, I have to thank you again for coming onto our show, being one of the best to ever play the game of basketball, a multi-Super Bowl champion. Doesn't matter to you. Are you ready to, on our show, to the better use, are you ready to announce your retirement from either the NBA or the NFL?
I'm ready to announce that I intend to no longer, not immediately, but within the year, I don't see myself playing what people call sports in a competitive sense anymore, which I never viewed as competitive. They tell me it is. So I'm not quite ready to say Freddy the Flow is hanging it up. I'm done. I'm Splitsville. I'm not ready to say that. Lately I am in kind of a privileged, football season's over, so I'm in a privileged position with the NBA where teams sign me. Whichever team needs me the most that day will sign me to a very limited contract. So
yeah, you're almost in the playoffs already.
Right. And next week I might not be. So I will no doubt be signed to whoever ends up in the championship. That's how it's gone these last 10 years of my career. But after I win this next championship, regardless of who it's going to be with, that may be the last time that I compete in what we have come to know on this world as professional sports.
Yeah.
Well, that does not sound like an announcement for a retirement, folks.
That's not an announcement. I will say, based on all your Fred talks, it does seem like you're way more into cooking omelets than throwing a football around.
And well, the moment that I win this next championship, I do see myself stepping away from that and mostly focusing on an omelet frittata, largely like an egg-based
Yeah.
sort of retirement package.
Yeah.
Well, Freddie, can we expect more Flo Nose commercials moving forward?
That'd be amazing.
You will be seeing more Flo Nose commercials. You know, I will be in the new Little Mermaid that is coming out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Who do they have you playing?
I just kind of want it to be a surprise, but it is actually going to be Ursula and Prince Eric.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Excellent.
Yeah, but I want that to be a surprise, so I'm not going to say it.
We'll cut it. Dwayne, can you cut this out? Thank you.
Yeah, can you please edit that out? Thanks, Dwayne.
Thank you, Dwayne. Did I say it, actually? Did I actually say who I was playing?
Don't worry about it.
You were speaking out loud, yeah.
Yeah, you said it, and the text just came out of your mouth. It appeared.
Yeah.
See, once again, you know, what you perceive as talking, I once again perceive as a manifestation of thoughts and consciousness. So I am very excited to play Ursula and Prince Eric. There's a very talented team that's behind the scenes on the Little Mermaid. So I'm really excited to finally actualize another adventure, which in this kind of egg-based retirement that I will have in what I'm told is a sports world, is that I will enter into what people tell me is Hollywood.
Wow, a whole new world for Freddy the Flo Marrero.
Yeah, this has been amazing, Freddy. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us and for holding space with us. We do want to know if you had one last message,
maybe a piece of advice,
any idea, any thought, any flow that you want to send the way of our better yous, what would that final message be?
My message is one of perpetual and aggressive mindfulness.
Yeah.
You'll never not be who you don't want to be if you can't not accomplish the items and tasks that aren't being fed or that aren't being cooked in a more secular, egg-based fashion.
That completely makes sense to me. I love that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let us know when you're in town. We'll bring you into the Buddha Pod. We'll show
bring
you
into
around.
the Buddha Pod. We'll cook a frittata. We've got a full kitchen right outside there.
And let me know when you're in my neck of the woods. I'd love to have you both in the compound, and you might not want to leave once you enter.
Lex and I have a pretty bad habit of getting stuck in compounds for long periods of time. Am I right, bud?
Truer words were never spoken, my friend.
This will be one of the times where it will be a very good habit of getting stuck in compounds.
Love it.
Well, Freddie, thank you for skipping the Super Bowl parade today and doing this interview instead with us. We're so grateful.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Tell Riri we said hi.
I absolutely will. I'm actually going to be filling in for her on her tour coming up.
Oh, great.
She's going to get a little R&R, so I will be embodying in a physical form Rihanna, and the audience will be none the wiser. So thank you for having me, and I'll see you on the tour.
Absolutely.
You, but better.
Friends, thank you for listening and becoming a better you.
And if you haven't followed us on social media yet, you haven't fully committed. Find those social links in the episode description.
Also, please rate and review us on your podcast listening app. It helps more people find this podcast and become totally enlightened.
And remember, don't just be you, be
You, but better.